How's it going, everyone? Austin Honecker here. I just wanted to come on here for a while and give my review for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dark Elevation from last night, which was May 17th, 2021. I gotta say, it was awesome from start to finish. For the matches, match 1, it was Jungle Boy versus Adrian Alanis. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Jungle Boy went over with the snare trap. Match 2, it was Dustin Rhodes versus Aaron Solo. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Dustin Rhodes went over with the final reckoning. But after the match, as Dustin Rhodes was attacking Aaron Solo and was getting ready to do the kick to the nuts at the turnbuckle, Nick Comoroto came out and attacked Dustin Rhodes with the cowbell, and QT Marshall and Anthony Ogogo came out on stage, and Lee Johnson came out with a steel chair, and Nick Comoroto retreated while QT Marshall and Anthony Ogogo went backstage as well, along with Nick Comoroto, and Lee Johnson tended to Dustin Rhodes and stood tall, which that was cool. Match 3, it was Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston versus Danny Limelight and Royce Isaacs. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston went over because Eddie Kingston pinned Danny Limelight with the Violent Crown from Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley. Match 4, it was Lance Archer versus Bear Bronson. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Lance Archer went over with the blackout. Match 5, it was Layla Hirsch versus Natalia Match 5, it was Layla Hirsch versus Natalia Markova. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Layla Hirsch went over with the cross arm breaker. That was match 5, by the way. Match 6, it was Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page versus Trayvon Jordan and Jalen Brandon. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page went over because Scorpio Sky made Trayvon Jordan tap out to the heel hook. Well, after the match, Ethan Page attacked Jalen Brandon with the Ego's Edge, which that was cool. Match 7, it was The Bunny versus Kylan King. That was a great match, but the ending to it, The Bunny went over with a punch in the face with brass knuckles. But after the match, as Matt Hardy, Mark Quinn, Isaiah Cassidy, and The Blade were in the ring, The Bunny attacked Kylan King with the down the rabbit hole, and Big Swole came out in the Hardy family office, which are Matt Hardy, Mark Quinn, Isaiah Cassidy, The Blade, and The Bunny retreated, while Big Swole tended to Kylan King, which that was cool. Match 8, it was The Acclaimed, which are Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, versus Kevin Bennett and Kevin Blackwood. That was a great match, but the ending to it, The Acclaimed went over because Max Caster pinned Kevin Bennett with the mic drop. Well, before the match, after Kevin Bennett and Kevin Blackwood were out and The Acclaimed came out, Max Caster done a rap on Kevin Bennett and Kevin Blackwood, and Anthony Bowens done his signature quote saying AEW, The Acclaimed have arrived, which that was cool. Match 9, it was QT Marshall versus Baron Black. That was a great match, but the ending to it, QT Marshall went over with the Diamond Cutter. Match 10, it was Joey Janela versus Daniel Garcia. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Joey Janela went over with the Death Valley Driver. Match 11, it was Private Party, which are Mark Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy, versus the Dark Order, which are Alex Reynolds and Five. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Private Party went over because Mark Quinn pinned Alex Reynolds due to interference from Matt Hardy. Well, after the match, Mark Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy were beating the shit out of Alex Reynolds and Five, and the Blade came in. Matt Hardy and the Blade came in to do some damage as well, but the Dark Order, which are Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, John Silver, with the Dark Order, which are Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, John Silver, 10, and Colt Cabana, came out for the save, and the Hardy family office, which are Matt Hardy, Mark Quinn, Isaiah Cassidy, and the Blade, retreated, which that was cool. Match 12, it was the pretty pick. Match 12, it was Ryan Nemeth and J.D. Drake versus Derek Pisatoro and Roman Roselle. That was a great match, but the ending to it, J.D. Drake and Ryan Nemeth went over because J.D. Drake pinned Derek Pisatoro with a diving moonsault. Match 13, it was Ty Conti versus Kaya Dream. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Ty Conti went over with the DDT. Match 14, it was Pena El Cerro Miedo versus Robo. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Pena El Cerro Miedo went over with the Fear Factor. Match 15, it was Thunder Rosa versus Robin Renegade. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Thunder Rosa... The match between Pena El Cerro Miedo versus Robo was a great match, but match 15, it was Thunder Rosa versus Robin Renegade. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Thunder Rosa went over with the Peruvian necktie choke, which that was a great match, by the way. And match 16, which was the main event, it was Brian Cage versus Mike Seidel. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Brian Cage went over with the Weapon X. Now, besides the matches, Lance Archer and Jake the Snake Roberts cut a promo, and Jake the Snake Roberts was talking about how tonight on AEW Dark Elevation, it was going to be two giants and two behemoths going up against each other, which are Lance Archer and Bear Bronson and everything. And Lance Archer was talking about how it's been his destiny to be the AEW TNT champion for a long time, and that he wanted Miro for the AEW TNT title, and said that AEW wasn't going to stop him. Jake the Snake Roberts wasn't going to stop him. Nobody was going to stop him from getting his title shot against Miro for the AEW TNT title and everything, which that was cool. Let me see. Let me see. Paul White interviewed Ryan Nemeth, and Paul White was pretty much asking Ryan Nemeth about how it's been. Paul White was pretty much asking Ryan Nemeth how it's been for him in AEW and everything, and Ryan Nemeth says that he feels like he found a home in AEW and that he's nobody's sidekick, he's nobody's little brother, he can be himself. Paul White also asked Ryan Nemeth where the name Hollywood Hunk came from, and Ryan Nemeth was pretty much talking about saying that Hunk came from his size, and Hollywood came from his stuff in Hollywood, his shit in Hollywood, and Paul White also asked Ryan Nemeth about the connection he has with Peter Avalon, Cesar Bononi, and J.D. Drake, and Ryan Nemeth was pretty much saying his connection with Peter Avalon, Cesar Bononi, and J.D. Drake was like the acting industry and everything, how they have like partners and everything, which that was cool. The Hardy Family Office cut a promo. The Hardy Family Office, which are Matt Hardy, the Blade, and the Bunny, cut a promo, and Matt Hardy was talking about how everybody changes when they get in the Hardy Family Office, and talked about how the Bunny's been more demonic and crazy and everything since she's been in the Hardy Family Office, and Matt Hardy was also talking about how he enjoyed the new version of the Bunny, and the Bunny was also saying that everybody is saying that the Bunny is a sweet innocent thing, and but they really didn't know how crazy she could be and everything, and the Bunny was talking about how she was going to beat Kylan King's ass and everything, which that was cool. Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page cut a promo, and Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page were talking about how they weren't going to celebrate their victory against Trayvon Jordan and Jalen Brandon on AEW Dark Elevation tonight. They were going to celebrate Darby Allin's loss to Miro for the AEW TNT title last week on AEW Dynamite. That was pretty much what they were saying. Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. And Ethan Page was talking about how they pretty much had a hand in helping Miro beat Darby. Ethan Page was pretty much talking about how they had a hand in Miro beating Darby Allin for the AEW TNT title. But Scorpio Sky reminded Ethan Page that Miro done all the work, but they pretty much the only thing they did was prevent Sting from interfering in the match and everything. And Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page were going on and pretty much saying how they were going to celebrate Darby Allin's AEW TNT title loss to Miro and everything, which that was cool. The Factory, which are QT Marshall, Aaron Solo, Nick Camarado, and Anthony Ogogo, cut a promo, and QT Marshall was talking about how he was glad that AEW was going to be traveling again because Jacksonville, Florida was a dump because it's Cody Rhodes territory, and also talked about how Anthony Ogogo hated America, and the only reason he did is because the only city he's been in was Jacksonville, Florida, and everything. And Anthony Ogogo talked about how he despised America because they care more about money than lives, and they lock immigrants in cages, and they Um, yeah, and that they just treat people poorly in America. And Anthony Ogogo was also talking about his match with Cody Rhodes at Double or Nothing 3, and was pretty much saying how Cody Rhodes was the epitome of the awful United States of America, and uh, Anthony Ogogo was pretty much saying how Cody Rhodes is beating Doug Williams, Will Ospreay, and Pac, but they're not him. And Anthony Ogogo was talking about how he was going to beat the shit out of Cody Rhodes at Double or Nothing 3 and everything, and Anthony Ogogo was also saying that he was the governor of AEW and everything, which that was cool. Let me see. Alex Marvez interviewed Chris Statlander, and Alex Marvez was getting ready to ask Chris Statlander a question about Orange Cassidy's AEW title shot against Kenny Omega and Pac in a three-way match at Double or Nothing 3, and Chris Statlander was getting ready to talk, but Britt Baker and Rebel came along, and Britt Baker was saying, "Who cares, because you're not Shivani," and pretty much Britt Baker was pretty much telling Alex Marvez that she didn't care because he wasn't Tony Schiavone, and she didn't care about Chris Statlander. Well, Britt Baker was pretty much telling Alex Marvez that she didn't care because he wasn't Tony Schiavone, and she also didn't care about Chris Statlander because she wasn't her. And Britt Baker was getting ready to talk about Hikaru Shida, and Hikaru Shida came along all pissed off, and Rebel had her crutch up while Hikaru Shida had her kendo stick up, and Rebel was pretty much telling Hikaru Shida to not try it. Well, Hikaru Shida took her kendo stick and knocked Rebel's crutch out of her hand, and Hikaru Shida was telling Rebel to bring it on, and Britt Baker was pretty much telling Hikaru Shida that Rebel will bring it on AEW Dynamite this Wednesday. And Rebel was all confused and everything, and Britt Baker grabbed Rebel and they left, and Chris Statlander was pretty much telling Hikaru Shida that Britt Baker was weird and everything like that, which that was cool. AEW aired a video package of the photo shoot that they done with Forbes magazine, and it consisted of Tony Khan, Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, Powerhouse Hobbs, Britt Baker, Hikaru Shida, Cody Rhodes, Orange Cassidy, and Eddie Kingston. And Britt Baker was telling the cameraman of Forbes magazine, well, after Tony Khan thanked Forbes magazine for the photo shoot, Britt Baker was telling the photographer of Forbes magazine that to get a picture of her with the AEW title because she was going to be champion anyway. Well, Tony Khan was telling Britt Baker to leave the guy alone, and Britt Baker smarted off to Tony Khan and said no because she's going to be champion and everything, and Britt Baker tried to take the title from Hikaru Shida, but Hikaru Shida got all pissed off, and they pretty much got in a tug-of-war over the women's title, the AEW women's title and everything, and well, Cody Rhodes, Eddie Kingston, and Orange Cassidy held Hikaru Shida back, and Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, and Powerhouse Hobbs held Britt Baker back. Well, Cody Rhodes, Orange Cassidy, and Eddie Kingston held Hikaru Shida back, and Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, and Powerhouse Hobbs held Britt Baker back, while Tony Khan was gotten between them and everything, which that was cool. The Hardy family office, which are Matt Hardy, Mark Quinn, Isaiah Cassidy, and The Blade, cut a promo, and Matt Hardy was talking about how Mark Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy didn't need his help to beat the Dark Order. He was just doing it for revenge, because where Alex Reynolds embarrassed Isaiah Cassidy last week on AEW Dark Elevation, and Matt Hardy was pretty much talking about how he leached Alex Reynolds and was saying that if John Silver was medically cleared, he would leech the life out of him. And Matt Hardy was also talking about how he leached, how he was going to leech all the other members of the Dark Order and everything, which that was cool. And the pretty picture in the wingmen, which are Ryan Nemeth, Peter Avalon, Cesar Bononi, and J.D. Drake, cut a promo, and they were gloating on about everything, and J.D. Drake, well, Ryan Nemeth was gloating on about everything, while Peter Avalon and Cesar Bononi were going along, but J.D. Drake was applauding Ryan Nemeth, saying that he was proud of him for actually kicking ass and not dancing around and everything, and Ryan Nemeth was gloating on about that, and J.D. Drake was asking what he got himself into and everything, and Cesar Bononi was pretty much saying that he got himself into the sexiest fashion. Cesar Bononi was pretty much saying to J.D. Drake that he got himself into the sexiest faction in AEW and everything, and Cesar Bononi told J.D. Drake, you know what to do. So Ryan Nemeth, Peter Avalon, Cesar Bononi, and J.D. Drake held up their pinkies and everything, which that was cool. But besides all that, Tony Schiavone and Paul White done commentary throughout the whole show. They done awesome as usual. Jake the Snake Roberts done comment... Wait. Tony Schiavone and Paul White done commentary throughout the whole show. They done awesome as usual. And Jake the Snake Roberts done guest commentary along with Tony Schiavone and Paul White during the match between Lance Archer versus Bear Bronson. Jake the Snake Roberts done great on guest commentary. And the referees for the event were Frank Gastineau, Mike Posey, Rick Knox, Paul Turner, Bryce Remsburg, and Aubrey Edwards. Okay. Aubrey Edwards refereed the match between Jungle Boy versus Adrian Alanis. Aubrey Edwards refereed the match between Dustin Rhodes versus Aaron Solo. Bryce Remsburg refereed the match between Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston versus Danny Limelight and Royce Isaacs. Aubrey Edwards refereed the match between Lance Archer versus Bear Bronson. Paul Turner refereed the match between Layla Hirsch versus Natalia Markova. Bryce Remsburg refereed the match between Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page versus Trayvon Jordan and Jalen Brandon. Aubrey Edwards refereed the match between The Bunny versus Kylan King. Aubrey Edwards refereed the match between The Acclaimed versus Kevin Bennett and Kevin Blackwood. Paul Turner refereed the match between QT Marshall versus Baron Black. Frank Gastineau refereed the match between Joey Janela versus Daniel Garcia. Mike Posey refereed the match between Private Party versus The Dark Order. Bryce Remsburg refereed the match between J.D. Drake and Ryan Nemeth versus Derek Pisatoro and Roman Roselle. Bryce Remsburg refereed the match between Ty Conti versus Kaya Dream. Rick Knox refereed the match between Pena El Cerro Miedo versus Robo. Bryce Remsburg refereed the match between Bryce Remsburg refereed the match between Thunder Rosa versus Robin Renegade, and Bryce Remsburg refereed the match between Brian Cage versus Mike Seidel. All the referees done awesome as usual. But anyway, I just wanted to come on here for a while and give them a review for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dark Elevation from last night, which was May 17th, 2021. Like I said, it was awesome from start to finish. And with that being said, my name is Austin Honecker, and I will catch your ass down the road.